Hello, beauty. I had the opportunity to sit down with Amanda Cave of Artistry by Amanda, hair and makeup artist to our pageant celebrity stars, including Miss America 2024, Madison Marsh. Amanda and I met at Miss America 2024 when we sat next to each other at the Go Red for Heart Gala, and the two of us decided at that time that we needed to get together and share our collective expertise with our different audiences. So I'm a pageant coach who helps women identify and elevate their most unique traits for the sake of the pageant competition arena. And Amanda is an artist who helps women elevate their natural beauty and celebrate being a woman on some of the most important days of their lives. We've come together to share some tips with you because we know that pageant is not about the day, it's about every day, choosing to become the best version of ourselves. And so today we explore that through makeup. Hello, beautiful pageant friends, and welcome to the amazing, incredible Artistry by Amanda. Miss Amanda Cave is online with me today, and this is something that, Amanda, we have waited almost a year to
I
get together
know.
and do this. And I'm so excited because we're going to do makeup today. And I'm so grateful that you have offered to do a tutorial with me for pageant makeup. And so we're going to talk today about appearance and or interview look. That's the look that we're actually going to do together. And then we're also going to talk about how stage makeup, competition makeup might be slightly different than what we would do for an appearance or for a day look for like an interview. And we're also going to talk about things that may differ among systems. So primarily my familiarity is with the Miss America and the Miss USA systems, but I also have worked with women in the volunteer organization and the National American Miss Organization. I know you have a lot of experience with a lot of different pageant systems, and you're familiar with the different looks that each system is kind of going for and the similarities among the systems. So I'm excited to jump in with you and talk about all these things today. So tell me where you would like to start.
Well, we could start by talking about some questions and answering questions first if you wanted to do that, and then we could get
Sure.
into our look.
Yes, yes. So my first question that I would like for you to touch on is how do we prepare the face for good makeup? Someone said at one point when I was young, not saying that I'm not still young, but when I was younger, that the best way to have great makeup is to have a great base to put the makeup on, and then you can trust that your makeup will look its best and it will last and it will stay in place. So maybe share with me a little bit about how you recommend women prep their skin before they come and sit in your chair.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think that everybody's skin is different, right? So if someone comes to me without having their skin prepped, I ask them a lot of open-ended questions to explain, how they take care of their skin normally, if they have dry skin, if they have oily skin, and to get some information there so I can figure out what I want to use. A lot of girls are very passionate about their skincare already, so I will ask them to come with their skincare on. And then for our teenagers, maybe they need to get a facial before a pageant, maybe like a week before they've got dry skin or acne that they want to take care of before they come in, and that'll make things easier for me during the process. So it's not just day of taking care of your skin, it's taking care of your skin all the time. Washing regularly, having good products that you like and know that they look good underneath of makeup too. Thinking about the different things that are in your products. So if you're using an oil-based moisturizer and then a water-based foundation, how's that going to mesh? So those are some things to think about. I have already prepped my skin. I can talk a little bit about what I did.
Okay.
So I have very red skin. So I've been using the Dr. Jart products to help get rid of some of the redness. So I used a serum first, and then I put an intense moisturizer on top of that. And so that's kind of the prep that I did today.
Okay, Great. And I also prep my skin. So I cleansed and then I also added I like to use hyaluronic acid before I get started just for a little bit of extra plumping because I'm at the age where I'm fighting fine lines and wrinkles. And I always
Same.
like to have that little bit of extra plump, little bit of extra hydration underneath. And then I added a moisturizer that also has an SPF in it. And then the one thing that we were talking about before we jumped on is that neither one of us have used our primers yet today. And so talk a little bit about why you might use a primer before you start in on applying makeup.
Mhm. Yeah, so people have many different reasons that they would use a primer. One of the most beneficial is it makes your makeup stay on longer. Others, maybe they have large pores, they have textured skin that they want to smooth out. And because everybody's skin is different, there are so many different options out there. I pulled one that I like that I use pretty regularly that's a low price point. It's called Freezy. It's from NYX. It's a nice cooling effect on the skin. It gives like a nice smooth appearance and it helps the foundation stay on longer. So that's a nice one that if a girl doesn't know a lot about their skin, that I'll probably use for them. I
Okay.
also pulled out the Professional, which is one that I really like from Benefit, and that will fill in any pores, like large pores on the nose, and just give you a smoother surface. What
We
are
like
you using?
yeah, today. Well, I worked in medical skincare when I was
Mhm.
younger, and I was a spa manager for a medical aesthetics practice for a
Ooh,
few years. And so I got to look at all the fun products that came
nice.
both for skincare and for makeup. And the one that I just got hooked on over the years, they don't have strong pigments, but they do have really pure ingredients. And that is the Jane Iredale line, which I really love. And for me, for most day wear that I do, there it goes on very light and the makeup itself doesn't feel super heavy to me. So much of what I have is Jane Iredale. But I do know that when I was competing, I know that especially for on stage when you're under the lights,
Mhm.
it's recommended that you use different products. That's something that has more pigment, that you can layer, and also that will have better coverage and also better staying power.
Mhm.
I don't know that I would recommend the Jane line for that kind of a look, just because it's not quite weighty enough, but I feel like it's great for me for day wear.
Perfect. I love that. Another one that I pulled out that I use a lot for maybe someone with more textured skin is the Milk Hydro Grip. That one is really nice. You have to be a little careful with how you use it. You put it on fairly thick and then let it dry, and then are really careful when you apply the foundation on top, but it creates a really beautiful, smooth surface, and it helps with making the makeup really last.
Mhm. That'd be a great one. So I wanted to talk with you and talk about makeup lasting. I'm going to go
Mhm.
ahead and put my primer on while I'm asking you this question so that
Cool.
we don't lag too much here because I'm a
Mhm.
slow makeup applier, especially since tutorial. I'm sure I'm going to learn some things here today that I've not tried before. And so I wanted to ask you when we talk about, I know that you work with women who are in the thick of it, right, in terms of pageant competition. So maybe
Mhm.
they're up at, 6 o'clock in the morning for a rehearsal that starts at 8 a.m. and they don't have time to do a full face of makeup before they go rehearse. And then that afternoon or evening, they have appearances and other things going on. So I'm just curious how you would recommend timing makeup application when you're in the competition mode, the competitive mode, especially like if you have an interview day or if you have actual competition or if you have rehearsals and then appearances.
Yeah, so for pageant weeks, I'm often there doing makeup, and there are times where I can only see the girls in the morning, and then they have a show in the evening. And that was the case for Miss America last year. I would see my contestants in the morning at before 7 a.m., give them a little touch-up bag for the day, and then I'd see them again on stage. I wouldn't get to see them.
Wow.
So what I'm working at achieving is making sure that makeup really stays on for them so that all they need to do is blot any oil and put on a fresh lipstick
Okay, that's
before they
awesome.
hit the stage. So
You
that's
don't want that
something
makeup breaking or cracking during the
exactly.
course of the day. And so using a good primer, like say the
Mhm.
milk primer, would really help that to have that staying power.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said before, really taking care of the skin beforehand too, not just expecting that I'm going to work magic. If you get a facial and you're washing your face every day and you're using good skincare, you're giving me a better canvas to work with throughout the week of a pageant too.
Yeah, for
And then
sure.
the girls that are doing their own makeup at a pageant, they're still getting ready at 7 in the morning. They may be able to do more touch-ups later, but they're never going to take their whole face off and start over because they're busy. They're in
Right.
rehearsals, they're going to some sort of appearance throughout the day, then they're going back and doing a show at night and they have 30 minutes to get themselves ready.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rapid pace. We're not starting with a full cleanse and doing it all from
Exactly.
the very beginning.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So and I did want to ask you about that. During competition weekend or competition week, we are probably wearing more makeup than we typically would. We're also probably removing and then adding makeup maybe more often than we're outside of our normal routine. We're under stress. We're maybe in a different climate. Do you have any recommendations for cleansers or for makeup removing cloths or I know like Neutrogena makes the travel wipes that you can just take all your makeup off with and then you can cleanse afterwards if we're at the end of the day. Is there a brand that you recommend that's not drying, not irritating, that you think have seen works well for your clients?
I don't have one that I love more than the other as far as the makeup wipes go. I would say try some out before
Yeah.
because what makes my skin feel sensitive might not make someone else's skin feel sensitive. I've used some of the Neutrogena ones and they make my face red and irritated, but my face gets red and irritated really easily. Some girls swear by those and love them. So I would say find the one that works best for you, spend some time doing some research and see what's best because I've had girls at pageants that are like, oh my gosh, I didn't bring any makeup wipes or cleansers with me to remove this. At the end of the night, I sat in the shower and washed my face 4 times and I couldn't get all my eyeliner off. And I'm like, oh no. um, but yeah, so spend some time and find out what works best for you and your skin. Going into places like Sephora and Ulta and just asking them, telling them about your skin and what you're looking for. They're really great at helping too.
Mhm.
And I'm always happy to help girls too if they reach out to me via Instagram or wherever to ask some questions too. I'm happy to help if they need recommended recommendations for themselves. I generally keep like the Target brand of the Neutrogena wipes in my bag, and I really like those.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. All right. So we've got our primer on. What do you normally go to next?
So I generally start with the eyes. And the reason for that is it can get messy and then we can take a wipe and we can clean it up, right? And it's not that we're going to make a mess up here. It's more that we're going to make a mess down here, the fallout. So what I start with is, again, I want things to last. So I'm going to prime my eyes first.
Yeah.
So just like we did with the skin, we're going to prime the eyes. What I love to use is a heavier concealer and then set it with powder. So
Okay.
I'm going to use the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This is the shade Vanilla. I use this color a lot on my pageant girls. They do have an amazing shade range. I have probably 4 or 5 that I use pretty consistently. But this one is a nice one. I'm going to use a flat brush to apply this. Flat brush. And I'm just going to pick a little bit of that product up and I'm going to go from lash line all the way up to my brow bone. Anywhere that I'm going to put eyeshadow, I'm going to cover because this is going to prevent your shadow from creasing and it will make it last all day.
I love
The
it.
one thing you don't want to be touching up is you're redoing your eyeshadow later.
Mm-hmm. No, I know that when I was younger, I was a dancer, and so of course my mother did my first makeup for my first ever dance recital, right? And of course the thought was that, when you go up on stage, you just put more makeup on.
Right.
So talk a little bit about that, about how when we do an interview look or an appearance look, that is going to have a particular way that makeup is applied and product is used and depth of color, pigment of color, type of color,
Right.
versus what we might take to stage and that it may not necessarily just be packing on more pigment.
Right. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm going on stage, let me put on thicker foundation or let me put my one bronzer on and put more of it.
Right.
And I don't think that's necessary. And that's not going to look good. It's not going to last either. It's going to make you feel cakey. It probably won't make you feel like yourself when you're on stage too.
Yep.
And what I like to do is instead of adding more of the products you're already using, I like to layer things. So for stage, I might do a cream blush down first, which is going to feel really light, but add a nice pigment, and
Yeah.
then set it with a powder blush so you have more depth.
Yeah.
But it's not going to feel like you have a lot more product on.
Okay.
Maybe I'll use a bigger eyelash than I would for interview, but I'm not necessarily going to change the eyes and put on a ton more eye makeup. I might make the liner a little bit thicker or add a little bit darker of a shadow, but it's not going to be drastic. It's not going to be a big difference. It's more about how you apply the products that you're putting on, not necessarily layering them and doing more.
Okay, got it, got it. And I just wanted to, can we talk about tools for just a second? So,
Hmm.
I just want to make a plug for this. I know that when I first got started competing, I bought my first set of brushes,
Hmm.
and it was a huge investment. Like it was expensive. And for a girl coming from a small town who'd only ever bought drugstore makeup and used, doe foot applicators, I was like, what am I even supposed to do with these brushes, right? So it was definitely a learning curve. I did go to
Hmm.
the Mac counter multiple times for tutorials because in those days you couldn't just pop on YouTube and learn how to do stuff because it wasn't available. I'm dating myself here, but I just wanted to share that some of the brushes that I have, you can see there's a little sticker on here. These are from when I went to Miss America. I still have my brushes. If you take good care of your tools, and of course, I know you probably go through tools rapidly because of the number of faces that you're working on. But for me, for personal use, by taking good care of my brushes, and that means washing them consistently, washing them with the right kind of brush cleaner. I'll let you talk
Hmm.
about that. And then just storing them properly. I have mine in a brush roll, and I use them almost daily, and they're still the same brushes. And I'm just gonna say I competed at Miss America in for Miss America 2002, and we're recording this video in 2024, and Miss America 2025 is right around the corner. So they have lasted a long, long time. But would you share a little bit about how to clean your tools, and then also why you would choose to use a brush?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are things that I like to use sponges for. There are things that I like to use brushes for, and we'll go through that. And you're going to want to take care of and clean all of the things. Sponges, they're usually not very expensive, so you can toss them and buy a new one when you think they're getting old. But brushes are an investment. I actually used to work at Mac. That was how I got started in makeup, and I taught women like yourself
Yeah.
how to use their brushes and use their products. And how to take care of the things that they have so they last a long time because they used to be such a huge investment for us. A Mac brush was like $50 in 2004,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They were expensive. The cool thing about now, there are so many companies out there that create different products, and there's always something new and something that's being advertised on TikTok or Instagram, and people go buy them, right? So there's way cheaper options now for girls. One of my favorite sets that I love is from Morphe, and it's the Morphe and Ariel line, and they are these kind of creamy colored brushes. I pulled most of them out so I can show you guys as I'm using them. And they're very inexpensive. I think you can get a whole set for $100
Okay.
comparative to us spending $50 per brush when we were buying them. Because
Yes.
I also have some of my old Mac brushes from 2002. So I worked there 2007 to.
And I'm not like some crazy old lady, right? But when you invest in something that's, that expensive, right? And you're young and it costs so much and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I
I
have to
know.
forever." And I might. I just might.
Right? And I might too. I mean, I have some. I'm looking at one right now. These were my favorite blush brushes back in the day. They're, getting a little sad, but this is go-to MAC that I loved. Some
Mhm.
of my original MAC shadow brushes I still love are getting a little ratty, but I still like them.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But yeah,
and
you want to take care of them is important, and that's the second part of your question is how do we take care of stuff? How do we make it last?
yes.
I really like the Cinema Secrets brush cleanser. You can use this right before you want to use your brushes, and they'll dry pretty quickly. So it's not like a deep cleanse. This is like a in between a deep cleanse. For me, in between clients, they
Mhm.
sanitize and take product out. So what I do here is I just spray a little bit of this on my brush and then I wipe it on a paper towel or a towel and I have like a brush towel that I bring with me to pageants and I just clean my brushes on that. And that sanitizes them between clients. I like this one. This is the lemon scent. It leaves like a nice smell on the brushes too, so it doesn't smell as chemically as some of the other ones. So that's my favorite to kind of travel with, wash brushes in between, keep them sanitized. And if you wanted to keep that in your kit, you could. I mentioned to you that I have some lists on Amazon of some of my favorite
Yes.
products, and I have my brush cleaner on there too, as well as like lighting and lashes and all sorts of stuff. So I will send that to you after we do this, and you can share it with anybody that watches.
Be in the notes. Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
So
After
let's
you do
set this.
primer. Okay, let's do it. Show me
So
how.
we talked a little bit. There's a chance that this moved around. So what I usually do is just take my fingers and kind of come back through and make sure there's no lines because we don't want to set any
Yes.
creases in there.
Right.
Then I'm going to grab my favorite setting powder, whichever that is for you. Mine is Laura Mercier. This is the translucent loose ultra blur, so it gives a nice smooth appearance. What's yours?
Laura.
Awesome, perfect, love it. There's a few different shades in this too, so for girls that are different skin colors than me, there are other options.
Yes. Mine is also the translucent.
And
And
I just get that
okay.
all over with a big fluffy brush because I don't want any creasing. And I love this ultra blur too because the shadows blend into it so nice. So now we've primed our canvas. We're going to call our eyes our canvas. My degree's in fine arts, and so this is the way that I express my art.
You know what? I have to say, the best makeup that I have ever had done in my whole life was by an artist
Mhm.
and also a pageant girl. And she knew how to put it on, but she also had the artistic flair. And I am not an artist. Which is why we're talking. And so makeup has always been a real challenge for me because I'm like, now how high? So I end up, with my eyes looking sad and droopy. And so, and there are definitely some tricks, right, to the trade that, like, even just doing this with the setting powder on the eyes. So I really appreciate that you do have that ability because you have that skill and that additional training in the arts. So you do have an eye for those kinds of things naturally and through your extended training. So I'm really excited to see kind of the little secrets that you might be able to help those of us who are not artistically inclined.
So let's start with choosing colors, and I will use my artistic eye to help you do that. What color
Awesome.
are your eyes? Are they blue or
Green.
green? Green.
Green.
Mine are
Mhm.
green as well.
Okay.
And we both have brown hair, so our color palette's going to be fairly similar. I'm obsessed with the Makeup by Mario products in general. I love his line. If there was one makeup line that I could just use forever, it probably would be that one right now. I go through, different favorites here and there, and I have, one product that I may like more than the other. But if I had to pick one line, it would probably be Mario. So the palette that I use a lot is the Master Mattes. This is the original one, and it has some really beautiful warm brown shades. One of the
Mhm.
things that I love about this palette, having green eyes, is I like to use warm shades of brown to make the green pop. For our friends with different eye colors, Mario came out with the Master Mattes, the neutrals, which is a little bit more of a cool toned palette, which I
Mhm.
also love. It's got some grays and some cooler toned browns in there. I'm going to use the original one, the Master Mattes,
Okay.
and I'm going to first go in because we're going to create a appearance look, interview look. And I will also talk, like we talked about before, how to kind of turn it into more of a stage look too. I'm going to start with this one right up top, this nice light brown. And back in my Mac days, I was taught that a nice shade of brown that's a couple shades darker than your skin is your best friend color.
Okay.
And this means we will use our best friend color with almost every look that we do, right? Unless we're doing like a bright blue eyeshadow, then you might not put it in there. But any other kind of neutral look that we're doing, I would use my best friend. So I'm gonna take that same big fluffy brush. Yours was a little bit bigger than mine, so I wouldn't recommend using that one. But the one that I set my Laura Mercier with is so it's a nice big dome-shaped fluffy brush. And
Okay.
I'm going to pick up that product and I'm putting just a little bit right on the tip of this. And I want to bring this nice warm best friend shade all the way through my crease.
Okay.
This is just going to create a little bit of shape and give me a nice base to blend all my other colors out into. And when I'm doing that, I'm kind of going back and forth in a windshield wiper motion. For my girls that feel like they are heavy-handed with makeup and want to be less heavy-handed, maybe you make a mess when you try to do a smoky eye, hold your brush back here. It's going to give you a better
Oh,
touch. If you come way up in here, you're drawing like you're drawing with a marker, right? If you hold
yeah.
it here, you're going to get that light feathery touch that you want.
Hey, great tip. Thank you. Yes, I'm definitely
Absolutely.
here.
I remember I was taking an art class when I was in high school, my senior year. You know, some people say things to you and you remember them forever. My art teacher, she was like, "You're so fast. All your makeup or all your makeup, all of your paintings, you finish so fast." And she's like, "Let's slow it down." And she took my paintbrush and she taped it to a broomstick. And I had to use, this technique of holding it really far back and I became more delicate. I took my time and it slowed me down a little bit. So I've taken that tip from my high school art teacher and brought it into what I do with makeup.
Love that. Love that.
All right, so we've got our best friend shade down, and now we're starting to get a little bit of shape, which is what we want. We want to start with a little bit of shape. Everyone's eye shape's going to be different, and I can customize these looks for people if they wanted to do maybe an individual makeup lesson or something like that. I could give them ideas, but we're just going to go basic today, laying down colors and blending colors together for our girls looking for an appearance look. All right, going into my Mario palette again, I'm going to now come in with a smaller brush and
Yes.
I'm going to go in with a darker shade. So I'm going to grab this one now, a little bit darker brown, and we're going to do a similar motion, but I'm going to more focus it into the outer corner.
Okay.
And this should blend in very nicely because we have our powder down and then we have our best friend shade. And the reason that we're going in the outer corner is that's going to help create a little bit of lip lift and create a little bit of depth. All right. I like the colors that you're picking. What palette are you using?
So I don't actually have a palette. I have a bunch of loose items that I have collected over time. So this one that I'm actually using right now is from MAC and it is a brown. And I was going to ask you about it because it does have a little bit of shimmer in it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how you feel about shimmer.
So for an appearance, if you wanted to put a little bit of shimmer in there, that's no problem. It's going to look beautiful. When we're doing anything with stage lights, we need to be really careful about where we put our shimmer. And there's a difference between shimmer and glitter and maybe like a
Mhm.
satin. Satin has like a little bit of shine to it, but not like glitter or sparkles in it. Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty. What color is that?
You know, I've had it for so long, Amanda, I don't even know the name of it, and the sticker's worn off the bottom.
It looks like a color called satin taupe, and it's very
It
pretty.
could be very, see, you're a Mac artist, and it's the Mac.
I worked there for many years.
Yeah, don't use that one.
I used to teach lessons and be part of the impact team there, so I would go around and go to different events and teach
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, generally I go matte in the crease. But it
Okay.
doesn't, you're learning, trying different stuff.
Yeah.
So we do what we have in front of us. And that's what I like to do with these lessons is teach girls that they can use what's in their makeup bag
Yeah.
and create a pretty look without going and spending hundreds of dollars at Sephora or Ulta. I'm
Right.
probably going to show you a product or two that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go have that and
Yes.
buy it, but you don't need to buy everything that I use. Just
Okay.
because I'm using it doesn't mean it's the best product there is. It's maybe my favorite, but maybe I haven't tried what you like.
Yeah.
All right. So I like the darkness of that. I think that's nice for interview and for an appearance. I don't like to go super heavy on the eye makeup. And like I said earlier, you can always glam it up a little more with maybe putting a bigger eyelash on if you have a nighttime event. Doesn't need to necessarily be more eye makeup.
Okay.
All right. So the place that I almost always put shimmer is on my lid. I
Mm-hmm.
want that to pop and look really glam. So I have a few options here. Again, Mario palettes because I love them. This is the bronzy quad, and you can tell that I love this one, and I've gone through this palette many times. I also really like the brown that's in here. It's warm. It plays really nice with my green eyes. And a lot of my clients have green and blue eyes, I've noticed, and so I use this one a lot. Another one that I pulled is this Makeup by Mario Master Metallics. So these are all kind of more of metallic shades, not necessarily chunky glitter. And they are, there's a better view, really beautiful. And you can tell which ones I like the most. And this is probably my third time buying this palette.
Okay.
There's two ways to apply the shimmers.
Okay.
So if you want it to be soft, I like to use my finger and I will just lightly dab it on and you'll get a nice soft finish with that. If you use a brush without wetting the brush, it's going to push the product all over the place. So I want to show you how I do it wetting because this is a technique that I like and I think it makes it stay really well. So I'm going to take a flat brush. So
Yep.
flat brush. I'm going to pick up that one that I obviously love up in the top corner in my bronzy quad. So I picked up product on my brush and then I'm going to take a setting spray.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use the airbrush setting spray from Charlotte Tilbury, another line that I love. And I'm just going to spritz that brush, the product that I put on there. Then we're going to come in and I'm just going to pack that onto the lid space where we haven't put any shadow yet.
Yeah.
So see
Love
how
it.
it really pops because
Yeah.
of the wet? Wetting
Mm-hmm.
it with setting spray makes it stay really well too.
Mm-hmm. I love
Back in
that.
the day, I learned to use water with this and I was like, let's try setting spray. I feel like that would work better.
Yeah, all the better. All the better.
But
So
yeah,
I'm
so,
right.
and then on the other side, I'm going to use my finger just so you can see
Yeah,
the
yeah, the
difference in the
difference.
same product. I'm just going to kind of dab. And you should be able to see a difference. This
Yep,
one
I
should look
absolutely.
a
Mm.
lot more intense. I used about the same amount of product, but for an evening appearance, or I love shimmer. I think it's really pretty as long as it's placed in the right spots. I don't
Yes.
think there's an inappropriate time to wear it. I do love for interview like a really clean matte look too, where there's like a nice deep brown in the crease and a creamy shade on the lid. I think that's really beautiful too. Very like classic Hollywood glam.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
professional. It has a professional elegance to it as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. I think it looks professional, but I also think that a shimmer can look just as professional with the right outfit too.
Yeah.
And then what I do, because I am all about blending, I love things to look really blended and flawless. I will
Yeah.
take my initial, that bigger fluffy brush, and
Mhm.
I just like to go kind of over the edges, and there's a little bit of residual best friend color on there, and that just blends everything out, so it looks really finished. And I know we were talking through that. If you're doing this on your own, it's a really simple eye look to create, and it shouldn't take the girls very long, but should look really polished and professional, which is one of the reasons that I love this. One of the things at MAC back in the day was wearing three, we had to wear three eyeshadows. It was part of our look requirement, right? So I would do something like this a lot. I would do my best friend color, whatever other darker shade I want, and then some sort of pretty shimmer on my lid.
Yes. Yes. Simple. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Yeah.
And you can create so many looks like this. You could do that warm brown in the crease with maybe a gray and a shimmery blue on the lid to match an outfit that you might be wearing to an appearance. And you can use these same techniques, but use different colors.
Yeah.
So you and I are going very basic interview look,
Hmm.
um, but there's lots of ways that you can take these hints that I'm giving and use different products to create different looks with it.
Yep. Yep. Okay. I love it. I love it.
All right, so we've got our interview eye done. Depending on what we want to do as far as liner goes, when I am doing my girls, I will ask them a lot of open-ended questions
Yeah.
and find out what they like, right? So
Right.
maybe they like a pencil, a soft smudged pencil. And I think that that is a beautiful look for interview. So I am going to reach down into my bag of tricks because I forgot to take one out.
Yep.
And I'm going to use a Makeup by Mario.
Okay.
And I'm going to not use that color because that's not the one I want.
Not that color.
I'm going to use black. I'm going to use black. You can use brown, and I'm going to use a pencil. I'm going to
Mm.
use my favorite one because I want to talk about why I like this one and recommend it to people that maybe are not great at putting eyeliner on. This one's
Mm.
kind of foolproof. And the pencil itself is really nice. So this is the Makeup by Mario Master Pigment Pro Pencil in Super Black. And on one side, you've got your pencil. On the other side, you've got this great little brush for
Mm.
buffing it out. And this is going to give that really pretty, soft, blended look that's very popular right now that I've noticed a lot of my clients like. I'm a fan of the thick winged eyeliner. That's what I always want to wear, but this is nice too. We can't all wear winged eyeliner all the time. So how I like to apply this is take the pencil right along my lash line, and this doesn't need to look good when you're doing this. We just want to get some product on there.
Okay.
So I've set the product down, and now I'm going to come in with this little brush that's on the other end,
Yes.
and we can buff that in and give a nice, soft, kind of smoky liner. And I'm using my computer camera, so it probably isn't the best work I've ever done. But that gives a little bit of just liner and extra lift on the corner. You can definitely try that technique. If you don't have this awesome Mario product that I love, I'm not sponsored by him. I just love his product so much. You
I
can use
got
a brush.
I got a little guy.
You can use a brush, and that's what I was going to say. Another one that I really like, this comes in that brush set I was talking about earlier,
Ah,
is a little smudgy brush. So it's kind of flat. Oops. As I throw it on the ground, I caught it. You can come in with something like that and kind of buff out the edge too. I just love products that have like a tool that comes with it to make you use it better.
oh yeah, I feel the same way about kitchen gadgets.
Yeah, absolutely. The Mario brushes are great too. They don't sit, I can't put them in my kit because they have a brush on each side. They're
Oh,
perfect for like, you know, someone that has a brush roll or maybe like a little compartment in their personal makeup bag. And that's what I use in my personal makeup bag. But as far as my kit goes, I use these like tubs for my brushes and they sit in there. So if there's a brush on each side, then it's putting weight on the bristles and
right.
I can't do a two-sided brush in there. But his brushes are really great. And then
Okay.
I'm gonna do
Eyeliner, I always feel like an elementary child with using my left hand when I'm right-handed trying to color my eyes on. It's
oh,
just not
that's so funny. I just use my right hand and do this side and then this side the same. A trick for eyeliner and lashes that I like to tell women is to get yourself really close to your mirror and kind of look down so you don't have to close your eye and try and do this like thing where you're trying to close
yes.
because then you can watch what you're doing.
I see that. I remember, I think it was in middle school, my girlfriends told me to stick out my tongue.
That make it better.
Keep you from blinking. You know, with the Wet and Wild products in the bathroom mirror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had way too many Wet and Wild products. I worked at Starbucks as my first job, and I would take my tips from Starbucks when I was 16 and go buy new MAC eyeshadows because I wanted to have
Absolutely.
all the shades.
Uh,
If there was a sparkly purple, I needed to own it.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Or
I'm with
blue.
you.
Um, I see you and I created different shapes with our eyeliner, and that's something that I wanted to bring up. I added a little bit just in the outer corner of mine. My eyes are fairly close to my nose. So when I bring eyeliner all the way in, it draws my eyes closer together. Your eyes are a little further set than mine are. So bringing your eyeliner further in will bring your eyes more together, which would be a shape that you might want to create with yours.
Yes, please. Anything to make my nose look thinner.
Exactly. But yeah, so everybody's eye shapes and face shape and skin texture and all that are so different. So it is kind of hard to do a one makeup tutorial fits all. So I like to
But you do this. And so if someone's watching this and they would like a specific training to their eye shape, their skin tone, their products, their need, whether, and you don't just do pageant, you do wedding, do you do film and photography as well?
I do a lot of photo shoots. I've done some film stuff. We live in Seattle area, so there's not a lot of film stuff around here, but I have done that in the past.
Mhm.
Runways, weddings, all sorts of different events. I'm happy to help people with too.
I'll make sure that all of your contact details are in our notes here on our YouTube.
Awesome.
People know how to find you. Because I would have loved to have had you in my corner when I first started doing this as a pageant girl at 19. I really would have loved to have had the help and support. And even they didn't have a teen program back then. So as a teenager, I really could have used the help. Because again, I was in the bathroom on my knees up on the counter with the wet
Trying
line.
to figure it out. All right. Well, we didn't make a big mess with our eyeshadow, so we can now move on to our skin. And we'll go ahead and start foundation. I have a few recommendations that I pulled out of my bag just to talk about. So I'm 36, so I can't wear the same foundation that I'd maybe put on a 15-year-old because
Yeah.
we sit in fine lines and things like that. But a 15-year-old can wear the same products that I wear, which is nice. So I like to have kind of versatile products in my kit for that reason. The Makeup by Mario foundations are lovely. They're called Surreal Skin. You can put it on really sheer. This one looks nice on my skin. I can't put it on too heavy on me or it will sit in my creases. The one that I'm going to use on myself and that I love for weddings, appearances, interview is the L'Oreal True Match Nude.
Mm.
And this was recommended to me by Crystal, the teen director for Miss Washington. Her skin always looked so beautiful last year at Miss America, and I would do the rest of her makeup, but she was running around doing stuff all day, and she would come into me at night, and her skin looked great, and I would just put everything else on, and I was like, "What foundation are you wearing? Your skin looks lovely." And she was like, "Oh, it's a L'Oreal product," and she like brought it out, and she's like, "But I'm obsessed with it." And I got it. I filled my kit with it because it's so good. You brought up earlier hyaluronic acid, and this foundation has hyaluronic acid in it. So it's nice and plumping on the skin, and it doesn't sit in fine lines. It's really just very nice. It's a sheer coverage, so I don't know if it's necessarily something I'd recommend for girls for stage.
Mhm.
But it wouldn't not work. Like it would work if they did all their other products properly. But my go-to stage foundation has definitely been that Makeup by Mario. I love it, and it's beautiful on younger women for any event too. For me, I just find that if I put like a full face of that on, it doesn't sit quite as well for like a 12-hour day versus
Mm.
this will stay on me. So this is what I'm going to use.
Hey,
And
good
I always
old L'Oreal. Hey, we'll
Girl
take it.
L'Oreal.
Save our money. Spend it on brushes.
Exactly. So I like this one's got a little applicator thing on the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit on my face. Obviously, when I'm working with a client, I would put it on a palette.
Mhm.
Um, and then I like to apply my foundation with a brush. And
Okay.
then I'll come back through and buff everything out with a sponge.
Okay.
So I'm going to use this one. It's kind of a
Mm.
denser, softer brush. So it's got a lot of bristle hairs in it. And I'm just going to buff this into my skin in like a circular motion.
Oh,
And I want to do this side first so you can see the difference because this is a very sheer foundation, but being someone who is redder
mhm.
really gets rid of the redness in my skin.
Mm-hmm.
You see how much I put on. I didn't put a lot on.
Hmm.
So that's on half.
Okay. And this is L'Oreal. This is not the Mario, correct? This
No, this is the L'Oreal True Match Nude, and it's got the hyaluronic acid in it, and it's just really beautiful. I'm wearing shade 2 to 3,
okay.
2-3. You know what? I'm going to put a little dab of the Mario in the corner of this cheek so you guys can see it too, because this is one of my favorite foundations. So this one's a little bit more full coverage. Obviously, you can see as I blend it out. So I'll show this side versus this side. I'm getting a nice coverage from this one, but this is more of what I would wear for appearance, maybe use for a wedding,
Mhm.
interview, something that wants to look a little bit more natural.
Yes.
But this one too, I would use for weddings, appearances, interview.
Yeah.
Like it just depended on who I was putting it on.
Okay. And I didn't notice, Amanda, did you put the foundation under your eyes?
No, I don't put it under my eyes. I mean, it might get a little bit of residual from my brush, but
Mhm.
I'm not putting it under my eyes. The
Okay. Do you
reason I'm
put
not putting it under my eyes is that I take a lot of pride in having a full face of makeup and it not looking or not feeling like you have a full face of makeup on. And if you start layering a bunch of products on top of each other, it's not
Mhm.
going to feel good.
Right. I remember the first time I ever went to MAC for a full face of stage makeup because I had to figure that piece out and did a tutorial and sat and had my makeup done and I went racing away from the counter.
You're like, I gotta wash my face.
Like, I have got to take all this off. It felt so heavy, but it's just because the products for stage do have a different consistency. They are more full coverage. And I just wasn't used to it. I was used to very, very light coverage for mostly everything. Or I just put more of the light coverage on, right? Because that was what I thought we were supposed to do.
Right.
Just more of the same thing.
Sure.
So it was definitely a bit overwhelming for me at first and something that I had to get accustomed to. But I did see the difference. Like when I look at photos from being on stage as a contestant who's wearing the stage makeup, the appropriate makeup for stage, versus a contestant who was not, you can see like I just look more awake, more alive, less
Hmm.
washed out, more vibrant. It just my being I felt like came across better on stage wearing the right kind of makeup for stage.
No, absolutely. And I think that creating depth in your face sounds like a weird thing to do, but that's what's going to make you look different than the girl that just puts her makeup on for a night out for stage because it's different. It's going to look good for the night out, but as soon as you put those big stage lights on you, it just washes it out and you need to have that depth from your product.
Yep.
I really like the foundation that you're wearing. What is that?
This is my Jane
Okay.
Iredale. This is
Yeah.
my
That's great.
lightweight stuff. Yeah, this is their Liquid Minerals foundation and I use the warm sienna. And I also tend to have a little pinky peachy undertone. So mine has a little bit more of a tan to it to kind
Hmm.
of hide my
Yeah, it
pinkness.
looks like it's got a golden undertone to kind of cancel that out, which is really
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Looks good on you.
Thank you.
Um, so tanning, you made me think about tanning
Yes.
now.
Let's talk about
So our pageant girls get tans, right? And if you're not getting a tan for a pageant, you probably should.
because again, the stage
Your
lights
coach will
wash
tell
you
you.
out. Yes.
Stage lights wash you out. And it doesn't need to be a really heavy tan, but you definitely want a tan for stage. And, depending on the dress color, swim color you're wearing, you might want a darker tan. But that being said, I have girls that come in and they will have the blotchiest tans on their face. Maybe they got a chemical peel a couple days before and they're peeling or whatever. I highly recommend not getting spray tanned on your face. You don't need to because I can color match your body with foundation, and you should be able to do the same if you're doing your own makeup. That brings me to color recommendations. So if you're somebody around my skin tone that's getting a spray tan for stage, my favorite foundation that I by far use the most in pageantry is the Makeup by Mario in the shade 14O, and it matches perfect with a pageant tan. I go through bottles and bottles of that. I would probably go through 2 bottles just when I go to Miss America in a couple weeks. So, but yeah, 14O from Makeup by Mario. It's just like the perfect pageant shade.
Yeah.
I use it all the time for when you have a spray tan. And I saw you doing this. I'm wearing a turtleneck, but I saw you coming down and blending. Girls, blend your foundation into your neck, blend it behind your ears. If you are going to wear a high ponytail and you have
Oh,
a spray tan and you didn't spray here and up, foundation needs to go here. Or you're going
yeah.
to have a weird line and you're going to do your turn on stage and you're going to see a white spot here. And so definitely get there. Even if you're wearing your hair down and maybe putting it up later, put foundation there. And I went through and I kind of did that when you were doing yours. I'll just kind of buff it around the edges. Obviously, if you don't have a spray tan, you probably don't need that, or you're for sure not wearing your hair up. Um, but just a little trick
Yeah, love that.
for our spray tan girls. All right. Now we're going to go under our eyes. So we're going to conceal. And I'm going to recommend a few products. Um, Told you earlier, I also love NARS, so I don't want to forget about my NARS products. This is one of my favorites, again in the shade Vanilla. This is the Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is a little bit more sheer, so this is great for interview, someone that doesn't have really dark circles under their eyes, just wants a little bit of coverage. This is really beautiful. Also, we were talking a little bit about different systems. I love this for my NAM girls, our younger NAM girls that can't wear a lot of makeup. Maybe my NAM preteen, I would do maybe a tinted moisturizer and a little bit of that is going to be a nice
Perfect.
base for them. For I like it for myself too. I think it's really pretty. And then Makeup by Mario, again, one of my favorites. This is the Surreal Skin Concealer, and this is a little more full coverage. I'll do one on one side, one on the other, so that people can see the difference.
Mhm.
For me, uh, in my 30s, I'm going to do a little less concealer than maybe I would for my 15-year-old going in for her Miss America's Teen interview. But I'm going to dab a little here and a little here.
Okay.
And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use my NARS. I like a brighter shade under the eyes
Mhm.
because it makes that area pop. So I usually use the same shade of concealer for interview, for all stage, everything. I don't change the concealer that I use for that, but that's my preference. There are people that like to match a little bit better. I am going to use a sponge to apply mine because I want it to go on a little bit more sheer and blend out really nicely. These are my favorite sponges. They're from Elf. They're not very expensive, so I replace them constantly. But I like the texture of it. I did fully wet this one and then squeeze it out. So I saturated it and squeezed it out. So it is damp. And I am going to buff that under my eye. And then this is the side with the Mario on it. I don't wear
Oh,
Mario very
look at
often.
that. Look how that goes on.
Yeah,
Just
it's
a tiny bit, and it just
the
really,
tiniest bit.
yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah, you don't need a lot, and it's really nice coverage and nice and brightening. I could have maybe gone a little bit darker on myself, but I like that. So I like to bring it all the way up to my temple because it helps to lift. So if
Yes.
you're looking to create that lifted shape, bring it all the way up to the temple. So that's
Never
the
heard that.
Mario.
Yeah, I love it. I've never heard that before to bring that up there like that. I love it. It looks great.
Thank you. And then this side, I am going to flip my sponge over and use the other edge of it. And this is the NARS. So this one's nice and brightening as well, but it's not going to be as much coverage as the other one. And I'm doing the same application here. If you wanted to have a more sharp line, you could use a brush here to get a sharper line. But that's going to create a nice lift on the cheekbones. So we can see this is a little bit more coverage than this side, but both are really beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful, Amanda. Both nice products, really brightening. It's amazing how much that brightened up underneath. Yeah, you're
Hmm. And I don't have super dark under eyes. So for me, I get a good amount of coverage from something like this. If you were someone that maybe had really dark under eyes, you might want to use a color corrector before putting your concealer on.
Mhm.
And if you go into a store, they could help you pick which is the right kind for you if you needed that.
Yeah, I'm really dark under my eyes. I have a lot of natural darkness around my eyes. So when I don't get a good night's sleep, oh baby.
It's noticeable.
Wow, Breann, you look tired. Really tired.
Like, oh no, I do.
I do. Oh, but this is fun. This is fun. I don't ever really do much with contouring, and so even just a little bit of playfulness with the highlight there um,
Hmm.
is fun. Okay.
All right. If you had any blemishes or anything like that that you wanted to cover up, you could obviously put more concealer. Sometimes I'll do some down here for stage, and I'm going to show that to you and the people watching when we after we get our bronzer on.
Okay.
So I crease really easily around my eyes because I've got crow's feet. So I like to set this immediately. So I'm going to take a little fluffy brush. This is a little Morphe brush, and I'm going to use a little bit of my Laura Mercier. And I'm just going to set only that part because I am going to use more creamy products, and I don't want to put a bunch of powder all over my face yet.
Okay.
But again, we want things to last and stay all day. Okay, so that is set. Now we're not going to crease, and I will add a little more powder later. I just like to make sure that's set because otherwise we're fussing with it and adding in more product that we don't need. So I'd rather just set it and get that over with now.
Okay.
So we're doing appearance look. I do want to recommend some products, and I'm going to let you do just the appearance version of this, but I'm going to do a stage version so that our girls can see what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to stack products on top of each other. I'm going to use a cream bronzer first. So this is Soul Body Bronzer or Soul from ColourPop. This is their face and body bronzing balm in the shade
Mm.
Light. It smells amazing, first of all. The girls love this stuff. I get lots of compliments. It's like $10 and it's awesome. And it smells good and it looks good. So this is great. I'm going to use my sponge to apply it. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this product. And placement of bronzer is a personal preference, kind of. I can give you some ideas of where to put it and why I put it the way I do. But really, I think it's personal preference. I think makeup is art. And if you want to create maybe a fuller looking cheek or a higher looking cheekbone, you're going to put stuff in different places. But I will talk about where I like to put it. So I like to create that really kind of sculpted cheekbone that looks high. So I'm going to come along the edge of my cheekbone and place some of this product.
Okay.
And I'm just picking some more up with my sponge.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to come down along my chin line with it. And then I'm going to do the side of my nose because we like to make our nose look smaller, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm going to do the side of my forehead.
Okay.
And I'm doing one side first because I want you to see the difference. And again, this is the shade Light, so it's not super heavy,
Yeah.
but I created some nice shape over here.
I see it.
And then on top of that, I'm going to go in with a cream blush. So I'm going to put all my cream products down first, and then we're going to go powder on top. And when I go into the powder, I'll tap you back in to do
Yeah.
that with me. These are gorgeous. They're liquid blushes from NARS. These are my two favorites. I have Brazen is the one that I'm going to use. It's a little bit more of a coral color.
Okay.
Very pretty. And I'm just gonna dab it here. I want to pull up and create that appearance of a lifted cheekbone. If we want to create a full rosy cheek, you can come down more on the apple, but
Mhm.
that is not the shape that I'm going for on myself today.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take that sponge again, and I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
buff that in.
Okay.
And I am lifting that up into my temple. So you can see shape, color. This by itself, beautiful for an appearance. It's the
Mhm.
first step for me for stage makeup, though. I put all my creams down first, and then I go in with the powders on
Like
top.
the fullness of your cheek right now on the side that you've done compared to the side that you haven't done, it's amazing. Like how much
Yeah,
lift and
lift on the
fullness
side.
it created. Yes, yes.
Yeah. All right. And so then the next thing I'm going to do is come in with my powder products. So you can hop in here with me on these. I'm going to start with a powder bronzer. I don't know if you have one of those, but this is, I keep putting the mirror right into my light. This is another Makeup by Mario product. I'm using the shade Medium Dark. It's the Soft Sculpt Bronze. And I'm going to grab a soft, fluffy brush to put this on with. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of product and I'm just going to tap this right on top of that placement that I did before of my cream bronzer. And this is going to start creating some of that depth that we were talking about
Mhm.
for stage. And I'm just going in all those areas that I already did. I'm not going to put a bunch on my nose because I don't want my nose to look brown.
This is so fun. So, Amanda, I just want to talk for a second
Mhm.
while we're doing this because you do not work alone. So, for people who have an event or are at an event and they would like to contract with you, but there's 25 other people who are also going to contract with you. What does that mean for them? Can you tell us a little bit about the Artistry by Amanda team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a few girls that I have trained from almost day one that weren't even maybe thinking about being a makeup artist. I just saw how they interacted with my clients and they're helping me curl hair. And I said, would you like to learn how to do hair and makeup? And of course, they generally want to if they're on my team. And yeah, so I've kind of trained my girls from like the ground up. And so their style is very similar to mine. I have a few locals here in Washington, and then I have a few girls that will travel with me as well. So if you are coming to a pageant where I have 15 clients, I obviously am not going to be the one doing everybody because I
Right.
can't. Um, you're going to be working with one of my fabulous team members that I have trained. So they're not just girls I picked up off the street and said, do you know how to do makeup? They're very talented. They use a lot of the same products that I use. And yeah, I train them and I love them and they're going to give the same level of service and artistry that I give. And sometimes I can't go to something,
Mm.
but I will refer clients to other artists that I trust and that I have worked with because there's so many of us out there, and I don't think that being a makeup artist is a competition by any means. I want to take care of the clients, so I love to have people to refer my clients to because I can't be at every pageant. You mentioned earlier I do other stuff too. I'm busy, so I'm also a pilot when I'm not doing this, and so I can't always be at every pageant. And I have so many amazing people that I love and want to refer my clients to.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
might be my girls on my team or even just my friends that are great artists.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to point out the fact that you just mentioned that you were a pilot because I just think it's so cool that pageantry is all about empowering women. And here we have you as like the epitome of the empowered woman. Like you have your own business, you are a pilot, you teach other women how to fly, you teach other individuals, and not just women, but other individuals how to fly. You also teach makeup. You not only do makeup, but you also do hair and you're an artist. Like, thank you for being a role model for all of us who love pageantry because there's just, I don't think there's anything better than having someone who is so diversified in their own right, in their own personhood, to then be standing chairside with these young women who are really challenging themselves to be the very best that they can be. And you are actually the woman responsible for helping our Miss America 2024 look and feel her very best on the night she stepped on stage and won the title of Miss America last year. You were responsible for Madison Marsh's hair and makeup last year at Miss America, and I understand you'll be doing hers again this year at Miss America.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually am very excited for Miss America this year. I am going to do a plug for Victoria Duke. She's the sponsor for
Yep.
Miss America. And I reached out to her and told her that I love Maddie and we're super close and wanted to do her makeup and work with my clients as well, and asked if she would be interested in having me on her team. And I was just over here bragging about how many wonderful artists there are out there, and she is one of them. And she took me under her wing and is having me on her team this year. So I get to work on the Miss America sponsored team, and I'm very excited because I did have Maddie last year, and I don't have to just get her ready at 7 in the morning now. I can touch her up backstage and be part of the sponsored team, and I'm very excited. And Victoria is a fantastic artist, and I'm excited to work with her team and meet everybody and spend the week in Orlando with them.
So fun, so fun. And that's just around the corner. I mean, you're literally leaving in like what, a week?
I leave on the 28th.
Yes.
Yeah, right
Okay.
after Christmas. So Miss America's on the 5th and they check in on the 29th for interviews. So
Yeah. Exciting. And you've got are you helping out with teens too?
yes, so I will be doing makeup with Victoria Duke and her team. So anybody that has signed up with them, I will get to work with. And then I have, of course, I'm always there for my Washington girls, and I have some clients that I have brought in to work with Victoria too. And so we're really excited.
Yeah. It's coming up quick.
I
Coming up
know,
quick.
I can't believe it's almost here. All right, so this
I want
side,
to know before we move on, did I get this?
yeah.
Did I put it too low? It feels like maybe I got it a little low.
I like it. I think it looks nice. Your cheekbones are a different shape than mine. If you wanted to give them a little more lift, you could. Something that would help you, which is the next thing that I was going to do,
Yes.
is take a little bit of a brightening concealer. So I'm going to take that NARS, and I'm just going to whoop,
Okay.
little swoops right under my cheek. And I'm going to buff that out with my sponge. And that's going to help with that lifted shape. I'll do one side first. And if you don't have a sponge there, the foundation brush that you use would probably work for
Mhm.
this. So see
Okay.
how that kind of just brightens under my cheek and gives a little lift?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm gonna do the same over on this side. And this side's gonna look just slightly different because I did do the layering on this side, and it does already have some blush.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So for what I have on is the cream products here. I started applying a powder bronzer, and I did the powder bronzer on this side because I want you guys to see
yeah.
that this is a more interview appropriate, appearance appropriate. This is too, but this is what we want for stage. We want to have that depth of product because that's going to give the face the shape. The
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
face shape.
Yeah.
Did I say those words backwards? But I didn't. Okay, so I grabbed a few blushes that I like in powder form. This is a MAC one. I love this for like a soft appearance look.
Oh,
This is a Warm Soul by MAC.
I'm gonna have to go buy that immediately.
It's really pretty. It's got like a nice, trying to show the color, nice like warm shimmery shade. And I am just gonna put a little bit of that on this side that just has the bronzer because I want you to see how pretty it is.
Mm, that's beautiful.
It's really nice, like just a little bit of shimmer in it, so it's perfect for an appearance. It's gonna look really nice in photographs. Really great for an interview. I really like this one. If you are a pinker blush girl, this Rare Beauty blush, really intense color pigment. This is the shade Happy. It
Okay.
also has a little bit of shimmer in it. But not too much to make it too heavy for stage. I think this looks nice for stage. This one I love. I wanted to pull it and so people could see it because it's really pretty. And I'm gonna do that on the stage side that I've got going on here. And I'm going to place that up the cheekbone like we've been talking about to carry and lift the cheek. So as you can see, we talked about the difference between stage makeup, appearance makeup, all of that. I didn't put more and more product on. I didn't put 10
Mhm.
pounds of blush. I used a brighter blush on top of a cream,
Mhm.
and I created a very similar shape, but it's more full. It's
Yes,
going to look better under the stage lights.
yes, yes. I can completely see that. Thank you for
Yeah,
showing the difference
of
there.
course. Wasn't what I was planning on, but it felt natural. Now I'm
That's
going to be mismatched for the rest of the night, but that's okay.
all right. You can pump it up on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that's looking. Yours looks beautiful too. What blush did you just put on?
So I used a bronzer by Jane Iredale called I think it's called yeah Sunbeam, and then I used the blush that I have is called Sheer Honey,
Ooh,
both by Jane Iredale.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that MAC one is called Warm Soul.
Oh,
I
that's
think it would fit right into your color palette. I think you'd like it.
so beautiful. Yes, I love it. Yes, going after that right away.
I knew there would be a few
Get the
things.
baby. I need, I need some L'Oreal foundation. I need some of that MAC blush. Start
All
with
right. Now we're going to powder the face because we want to set everything and make all this stay all day. To my girls that are like, I really want to look glowy, it's not maybe the look that we're going for when we're competing in a pageant and want our makeup to stay on all day. We can look glowy with having a shimmer on the lid and a soft shimmer in our blush, but it's kind of hard to get glowy makeup to stay on for 12 hours, and it just doesn't look as good on stage. If I'm being honest, I think glowy makeup on stage can look sweaty. Um,
hmm
and it does the opposite of what you're going for. You can look really fresh faced with a nice matte foundation, matte powder, and then like a little glow on the cheek is going to look a lot better under the stage lights.
Yeah, great advice. I was
Um,
definitely the glowy girl. I was not wild about.
like, why do I look like I'm so greasy?
Exactly, exactly.
So I am going everywhere that I didn't put powder already. So I don't need to powder over the top of my bronzer. I don't need to powder over the top of my blush. Um, so I'm just kind of going in those areas that I haven't powdered yet.
And I can say that I know for a fact that my Jane products do not they are not 18-hour wear stage light under stage light makeup.
Hmm.
They're not meant for that. They just are not formulated for that.
Yeah. And there's things you can do to like prolong them by putting primer on, setting sprays, stuff like that.
hmm
So I'm going to do a setting spray after I'm done with all of the makeup, and that'll help set it too. So we'll do that at the very end, and I'll talk about some of the ones that I like. Next thing is eyebrows. So
Okay.
our face is set. We've got all of our products on. I'm going to move into eyebrows and then we'll finish our eyes. So I love the Anastasia Brow Duo powders. So I'm
Okay.
going to be using this. Sorry, this
Mhm.
is well loved. It's almost gone. This is in the shade taupe. It's got a darker one on the one side and a lighter one on the other. I'm going to use the darker one on myself. I have dark hair, but my brows aren't like crazy dark, so I don't like to put a really dark product in it.
Is
I
that your brush or is that one that came with the duo?
This is my brush. It's got a spoolie on one side, so the first thing I do is kind of come in and groom my brows
Mhm.
into the place that I want them. And then this brush has a angle on the other side. So this was made specifically for brows. I love these. I have like 5 of them in my kit. And I'm just going to come in and pick up some of that darker brown in the taupe shade. And I will show you how I like to put this on. So
Okay.
I'm going to use the angle of the brush and come onto the bottom edge of my brow. And I'm going to pull that
Mhm.
along. And then I'm going to pull it up.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come to the top here and fill in the sparse spots that I might have. And then I'm going to pick up a little more product and I'm going to go down to the tail of my brow and pull that down. And then I'm going to take the little grooming tool again,
Mhm.
the spoolie, and push that up. If I really wanted to create a lot more shape with my brow, or maybe I needed more than just a powder, I would use a pencil or maybe a gel for my brows. But I have a decently full brow, and I just like to fill in my natural brow. And then for this front part, I'm a little bit rounded right here, so I'll take this brush and kind of pull that up to get a little bit more square shape in the inner corner. I'm doing this in the camera, so it's not going to be perfect.
Right. And just that little bit of extra definition and depth makes
Mhm.
such a difference in framing the eye
I
makeup.
would say the eyebrows are like the frame to a picture,
Yeah.
right? You do all this work on creating beautiful eye makeup, and if you don't do the eyebrow, you're not framing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the old saying, your brows are not twins, they're just sisters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Thank you.
a lot of girls will spend so much time trying to get their eyeliner exactly the same and their brows exactly the same, especially for pageants and you're on a stage or you're 15 feet from the judges.
You're
They're not going
right.
to notice if your eyeliner is a little bit different
Right.
or if your eyebrows are a little bit different. We can try and achieve perfection, but they aren't twins, and that's okay.
Give us a little grace, Amanda. Thanks. I am not blessed with lots of thick, amazing brows, so it makes a big difference for me. It's almost startling for me when I
When you fill them.
put color up there. And I'm like, what? Wow, she's.
I also have mine microbladed, so I have a nice shape from that, and then it gives me like a little path to follow.
Hmm.
I love to set my eyebrows with a brow wax or gel. Um, and the one that I currently have in my kit is Clean Fresh Brow from CoverGirl. I really like the Makeup by Mario one, and I ran out of it. It just came out not too long ago, but I'm going to use this one today because it's what I have readily available to me. But any kind of wax or gel that's going to hold the hairs in place will, again, just make this last longer.
Yep, yep.
And that is what we're going for. All right, last thing before we move on to our lips and our setting spray is going to be
Yeah.
finishing up the eyes.
Okay.
We could put mascara on now and call it a day because I think it's really pretty with just the soft shadow on top. So it depends on the appearance that you are going to and the look that you are going for. I am going to show some tricks on liner on the bottom for girls because I know that is a challenge, but you definitely don't have to do this.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab that Mario Matte palette again, and I'm going to grab that darker shade of brown that we have in our crease, and I'm going to use this little buffy brush, and I'm just going to buff some of that right underneath my eye.
Mm.
And that's going to give the effect of having a little bit of liner on the bottom and create fullness on my eye without being too heavy. And it's really simple to do. Other
Mhm.
options for brushes here, you could use like a pencil brush, so something like this.
Mhm.
Or you could use an angled brush that's going to be a little thinner
Mhm.
and create a thinner shape. But I just like to buff a little bit of color down there just to give a little shadow.
No, this is not something that I normally do because I do have so much darkness under my eyes that I'm always a little afraid to put anything under my eyes.
Well, as long as you're careful and just put a little bit of it can give a really nice definition. Other option would be to do like a soft brown in the waterline too, if you're somebody
Yeah.
that likes that. There's so many options here. This is just what I like with my eye shape. I think it gives a little definition, makes the eyes pop a little bit more.
Yeah, I see that.
And then for mascara, I have kind of my old go-tos here. I really love the telescopic mascara for the bottom lashes because it's got this tiny little brush on it, which is
Ooh, yeah.
great. And you can really get in and do those bottom lashes.
Mhm.
And I love to do the bottom lashes first.
Okay.
Reason for that is if you do the top first and then you come in to do the bottom and you look up, you're going to get mascara all over this beautiful work that you just did.
Let's not do that.
Well, let's not do that.
Now, do you ever use a lash primer or a lash booster?
I don't because I use false lashes for my clients.
Yes.
So there's really not a purpose for it. The only reason that I even put mascara is so that they're black in front of the lash that I'm going to put
Yes.
on. And
Yes.
for the most part, even if you're just going to an appearance or interview, you're probably still going to have a false lash on. It might be
Hmm.
something smaller, but yeah, I don't have one that I love, but for you or I going to work or something like that, maybe it would be something that if you have shorter lashes, you would want to do. Um, I am going to curl my top lashes, and I just love to bring out this curler because everybody loves it,
Oh,
especially my little gals. It is a pineapple curler from Tarte, and it's really cute.
that's adorable. That's adorable.
So when you curl your lashes, you want to grab them all in there, and you don't need to squeeze really hard. And don't be afraid of me when I come at you with a lash curl. I won't grab your eye with it. It's just going to give a nice lift to the lashes so that when you do put mascara on, they are more lifted and they're going to blend
Yes.
into the false lash better that way too.
Okay.
And then for top mascara, I'm going in with Old Reliable Voluminous by L'Oreal. Love it. I just have tried all sorts of
My
mascara, and
favorite. It's my
this is
favorite.
the one I keep in my kit. I just like it. It's the best.
Yep. And always waterproof, right?
For
Magic.
pageant girls, that's a great idea. Yes,
You're gonna cry at some point. Either
you
you're
might
crying for
cry.
your girlfriend who just had something amazing happen in her life, or you're gonna be crying for yourself.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't
you're
go
gonna
wrong
cry
with
for
waterproof.
somebody at some point. So yes,
If you
definitely.
do choose to do waterproof at a pageant, make sure you have a good remover for your mascara and your lashes. We talked about that earlier with makeup wipes, having some sort of oil-based remover for your eye makeup if you go water-based or waterproof products. Otherwise, you're the girl that's sitting in the shower washing her face 10 times trying to get it all off.
Yeah, especially the lashes. The lashes.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So that's done. I would put a false lash on, but I'm not gonna, put one on tonight. This is just our makeup that we're doing.
Yeah.
I will, in the list link, I will send you all my favorite lashes. I order most of them from Amazon, really inexpensive. And there are lots of expensive lashes that you can order too. But when you're going to a week-long pageant or you're going to an appearance and then throwing them off, why not just buy a set of 10 of them for $7 and you give them
Yes.
away? Like it just seems like the best thing to be doing. If it's
Mhm.
your wedding day, maybe you want to buy a $30 set of lashes. It just kind of depends. But for my pageant girls, I usually say just buy the cheap ones and they look good. I know which ones that I like and I can send those. So for lips, we're gonna move on. I'm going to use, I love the ColourPop lip liners. This one is called Oh Snap. It's one of my faves. And I am just going to overline slightly. So when I'm lining, I'm starting in the outer corner and I'm not overlining here. I'm
Okay.
gonna dip below my natural lip line on the bottom
Mm.
to create a little more fullness. And then on the side, again, I'm following the natural lip line. I don't want to make my lips look wider on the edges, but I do want to give that fullness.
Mhm.
So then on the top, I'm going to start with Cupid's bow. And again, I'm going just outside the natural lip line there. to overline that just slightly. Other side. And then I'm kind of following the natural line of my lips down to the corner. So I created a little bit of fullness without making my lips look a bunch wider.
And who doesn't want fuller lips? I mean, come on now.
Everybody wants fuller lips.
Everybody wants fuller lips.
I just grabbed a combo that I really like that I think is pretty. I love nude, but I like a soft kind of pinky nude. Personally, I think it's looks nice with my green eyes, and I do find that it looks pretty on a lot of pageant girls too. It gives a little pop of color without being too heavy. I'm using one of the velvet lip mousses from Morphe. These are not very expensive. This one is called Wifey. And I am going to put this on. And this is kind of a like a nude shade. Oh Snap has a little bit of a pink to it, and then the gloss I'm going to use has a little bit of a pink to it as well. I
Okay.
like these like moussey lip stain kind of things. They stay on
Mm,
really well, and then we can add gloss to the top, and you're going to have a longer lasting lipstick that way.
okay.
I love the Makeup by Mario, shocker, lip glosses. This one is called Soft Blush, and it's a really just soft, pretty pink. And I am going to put that in the center, kind of bring that out to the edges. Yeah, nice interview nude pink lip. I think this looks good with kind of any outfit that you might wear. And
Mhm.
then you can customize your lips depending on what you're wearing or the kind of event that you're going to as well. I really like the color that you put on. That's pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. That it's also from Jane. This is their lip. I think you can use it for lips or cheeks. And the color is called Aura. It was actually very close to the color that you,
Oh yeah, that's very similar.
yeah.
I like that a lot.
And then I also have a really light gloss. This is City Gloss. One
Oh,
of my
that's
former Miss Washington sisters gave this to me as a gift.
oh, that's great. That color's pretty too. And then last but not least, I'm going to set with a setting spray. You guys did already see this one. This is the Charlotte Tilbury uh, Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Says party all night, stay all day, and we want it to stay all day. So this one's really great. There are some fantastic setting sprays out there. I've tried a lot of them. This is the one that's in my kit currently, but there's so many good ones. The Makeup by Mario one I just got, he just came out with it, and it's really great. I have that. He gets Patrick Taw, that's the pink. It's like a one size. I think that's who makes that one. That one's awesome. It's an aerosol spray. That one
Ooh,
stays like all day. Don't forget to set your makeup. You spent all this time doing it, set
yeah.
it. And that's gonna even like you said your Jane products don't stay as well. If you do a good setting powder over the top and a good setting spray on top, it's probably gonna last longer than you think.
Okay.
And then we'll just let that dry.
I love setting spray. I love it.
Me
Like I
too.
could just spray my face all day.
This one smells really good too.
I have the It Cosmetics setting.
Nice. I've heard good things about that one too. I have not tried it,
I
but there
like
are
it.
so
I
many
know.
out there.
It smells good. It has hyaluronic acid in it and it has
Mhm.
coconut water in it. So
Oh,
it
nice.
smells really good
Hydrating too.
and it feels really good on. And it's actually the only I've only tried one other setting spray, and that's the Jane Iredale setting spray. So I'm gonna try the Charlotte Tilbury that you mentioned as well. And the aerosol, that sounds like it would be crazy good, but I just don't know. As a homeschooling mom and pageant coach who does a lot of Zoom work, I don't know if I need an aerosol, but
Hey,
maybe,
it's a good one.
maybe the next pageant I go to, I'll have to splurge and add that to my collection.
One more product that I love that I wanted to bring up because we're done, right? But
Yeah.
we might want to touch up later.
Yes.
So, what I love for touch-ups is the Charlotte Tilbury powders. These are gorge. They look really nice over the top of makeup too, like after you've already set it and you maybe want to add a little bit of powder because you've gotten oily, so you dab your oil and then you reset with this. And
Yes.
this is shade 1, and I love the way this looks under the eyes. Uh,
Ooh.
for stage if you want to brighten it up a little bit.
You've got my attention. Yep.
So I'm just gonna come in with a little bit of that, and that is gonna brighten that whole under eye area. And maybe I want to brighten like under my cheek.
Mm-hmm. And this one's on your list, right, Amanda?
I don't know if you can get it on Amazon, so it's not going to be, but I will send you a list of my favorite products. So
Perfect.
this is shade one from Charlotte Tilbury, and on my skin tone, this gives a nice pop. I mean, can you see where I just put it?
Yeah, looks great.
And then for someone that might not want it to be that bright, this is shade two, and I will put a little bit of that on the other side. It's just a little bit darker, and you can kind of even see in
Yeah.
the thing a little bit darker.
Mhm.
But it's a nice soft powder that is great to add to like a touch-up kit.
Okay.
This is what I would send the girls with last year at Miss America because I would only see them in the morning. I'd give them the blush I used, the powder that I used, and then a lip and send them on their way. Really, that's all you need to touch up with. Um, Especially if we're getting fully ready in the morning. They
Yeah.
shouldn't need to do much more than that. Everything should stay.
Mhm.
If you're having problems with cracking or creasing, maybe you need to look at using a different product
Mhm.
or a different
Mhm.
primer or different skincare or something like that. Something's not meshing well if you're cracking and peeling
Yeah.
throughout the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. I just have to point out, since we started, the little extra that you did under the eyes with the powder and
Hmm.
and then a little bit of the mascara and then the little bit of brows that you did. I mean, with such a basic eye, just really looks so just so elegant and so sophisticated
Thank
without
you.
looking like made up, right? And then
Right.
also the side that you've done there that has, yep, for, more of a stage look. I just can't believe that from just a little bit, you've only layered on three different colors there,
Hmm.
different shades, and you've got so much fullness in that cheek comparatively,
Hmm.
and so much vibrancy as well. So like perfect for stage. And then your lips look like you just went and had them filled. I mean, you look like you got the, most juicy pucker of any girl that I've ever seen. Like just because, and all it is the illusion, right? Just a little bit of, and I love that we can do that with makeup. We can create depth, as you were saying, and add a little bit to a feature that we want to make pop just a little bit more. And I just can't say enough about how doing something that's just very simple. We haven't done anything really dramatic. You haven't put on a ton of product. We haven't used like deep, dark pigments in order to produce this. It's been really, a beautiful just elevation of what you already look like. And I think that's really important too, sometimes with makeup when we start to play, is we can end up using product and starting to not look like ourselves by the time
Right.
we get done.
Absolutely.
Some artists I know get a little bit, as you mentioned before, a little heavy-handed, and so sometimes the young woman I was talking, one of our former Miss Washingtons, Janet Lynn Harding, is a photographer and she does a lot of wedding photography. And she's always very curious to see who the bride is going to select for her artist for
Right.
wedding, because especially on that day, you want to look like yourself. You want to look like yourself elevated, your most fresh, dewy, elegant, lovely version of yourself, and not like someone's made you up to look completely different. And so I applaud your approach because it is so natural. And I just know that the women who sit in your chair are going to get the best version of themselves and not something that they're going to feel uncomfortable with or something that's not going to look like them. So mothers can relax and feel confident when their teenage daughters or their little young misses are sitting with you, that they're not going to come out looking um, not like the young lady that you started with that morning.
Right.
I also wanted to ask you a question that had to do um, with. I actually wanted to pay you a compliment, but I also wanted to ask you a question. So I've talked to several of the women who have sat with you for makeup and hair. And that one of the young women specifically stated, sitting with Amanda is like therapy. Like I know
Oh,
that when I go and I sit in her chair, I don't have to worry. Like I know my hair is going to look amazing. I know my makeup's going to look amazing, and I can literally sit and word vomit all the the stress or whatever it is like, and I know I'm in a safe space with her, and I can just unload in that, few minutes that I'm with her, and I know that I'm going to step away from the chair. I'm going to have released all of, whatever it was that was on my mind or on my heart or that I was carrying around as my burden, and I'm going to look great and I'm going to feel better. So I just wanted to ask you, I'm sure that that's not intentional on your part. You're certainly not labeling yourself as pageant therapist. But what a great release for a young woman who is under that kind of pressure that you offer to her. And so, do you have any tips for our young ladies, not about makeup, but about handling the pressure of competition?
yeah, absolutely. I think having a team that you love and trust is a big part of it. So having a coach that's made you feel really prepared, having a hair and makeup team that makes you feel good. I think those things just go a really long way with feeling prepared and feeling confident. So many of my girls will be like, okay, I'm gonna go like talk to my coach after I'm done here. And they have this little mini session with me where we talk and just our girls together, and then they go talk to their coach, and it just makes them feel so prepared. So I think my advice would just be as prepared as you possibly can. Work with someone like me or yourself to help the girls prepare for what they're doing. I think that's such a big part in like feeling comfortable and confident.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there are a lot of things, just like in the makeup aspect, when we're looking at the cheek application there,
Mhm.
there's things that you don't know that you need to know until
Right.
you're in it. And so it helps to talk with somebody who's had some experience and work with somebody who's had some experience, because there is such a learning curve when you first get started with pageants. I know that was my experience.
Mhm.
And like I said, looking at pictures of me on stage compared to another young woman who'd had, a professional makeup versus, or a look that was right for stage versus a look that was not, that was more daytime. And all of those little things do make a difference in overall presentation of yourself. And obviously, you're competing against being your own best self. And
Right.
that's what we're working toward, is the best presentation of ourselves that we can bring. So I agree. Having someone in your corner who knows these kinds of things, it really helps. So I did want to ask you, because you also do hair, do you have any comments or any tips about hair? And I know everybody's hair is different. Everybody wants to do their hair a little different, but just, I'll let you speak first. I have some things that I have in my mind, but I want to let you go first. Do you have any tips that you would offer or advice you would offer about?
I I think pre-planning everything that you want. So having pictures in your wardrobe that you're going to be wearing and knowing what you want to do with your hair in advance makes that a lot easier. If you're doing it yourself, knowing what you can achieve is really important. And then if you are preparing and you want to do something that you can't achieve, well, how are you going to do that? Maybe take a hair lesson with somebody and learn how to achieve that thing that you want to do on your own. So I think being really prepared and planned with the hair and coming with the right products and knowing what you're going to do is just going to make things easier for you. And then if you have an artist that you're working with and you have photos of everything, you bring it in and you're like, hey, this is my outfit. I was thinking of a high ponytail that looks maybe like this picture that they have. I think that makes things so much easier for me too, because I can give ideas and I'm happy to do that. But when a girl comes in with a vision and is already planned for what they want to do with their hair, that's just so much easier for me.
Makes all the difference for sure. I'm a short-haired girl, so there wasn't a lot of options. What to do with my hair, because I wore my hair short when I was competing as well. But one of the things that I always share with the women that I work with is do the things with both hair and makeup that are going to reduce your stress and reduce your pressure. Because
Mhm.
sometimes women come and they're like, oh, and then I'm going to wear this, and then I'm going to do my hair this way, and then for this next phase of competition, I'm going to wear this, and then I'm going to do my hair that way, and it's like, what I think sometimes there's not an appreciation for just how fast time moves backstage.
Hmm.
And if you do have time, what you really want to be spending that time on is getting in your zone, making sure that you're relaxing, making sure that you're sipping some water, maybe you're snacking on a little something that you've had backstage to keep your energy up, that you're potentially putting your feet up, or that you're just enjoying your fellow contestants backstage. Whatever it is that you need to kind of maintain your sense of peace, your sense of calm, rather than feeling like you're frantically having to adjust your hair, or if it's not working, or if it's coming unpinned, or I just feel like anything that adds stress to the situation, which again would be a great reason to consider working with someone backstage to do hair so that you have one less thing that you have to concern yourself with, and knowing that you can trust that individual, someone like you who can toss it up real fast and you can be on your way and go do all
Hmm.
those things that I was mentioning, that help add to your experience, as opposed to getting stuck in trying to do styling that may only detract from your overall experience and ultimately detract from your ability to be your most natural self on stage, which is really what the judges are hoping to see.
Right. And if you're spending too much time thinking about those things, you're probably not going to be your best version of you on stage. Like pick a hairstyle that looks good with all your wardrobe, and your hairstyle is not going to be what wins you the pageant. If you
Well,
have all of the other things there and you have an amazing hairstyle on top of it, sure, that's great. But like if you're stressed about it, don't add in that extra thing. You just don't need it. Pick something that works for every phase of competition and have a hairbrush and some hairspray backstage so you can fix it. It doesn't need to be a whole new thing. And if you do want to make some major change because you're going to do talent and you need to put your hair up, practice it. Practice it just like you practice your routine. Do the evening gown, do a quick hair change, then do the talent. Like practice it over and over again, because then it's just second nature and it's not going to be an issue on the day.
right, right. Yep, I agree. Great advice, great tips. Okay, so I did have a few other questions that I just wanted to ask you before I let you go. So I wanted to know, what is your favorite makeup gig to get booked for?
Ooh, Miss America. I mean, it really is. It became my favorite very quickly when I became part of the Miss Washington team. I was just so excited, and I love working with those girls. They're just so fantastically inspiring. But last year, when they allowed hair and makeup at Miss America, that was really cool. And then my client Maddie won, and I just adore her so much. So that was my favorite thing to get booked for. Absolutely. Other than that, like I love weddings. And I don't do a ton of weddings anymore, but I've been doing this long enough that some of my pageant girls are starting to get married now. And I'm going to Maddie's wedding this summer. I'm doing her hair and makeup. I did Shayla Montgomery's hair and makeup for her wedding. She was Miss Oregon's teen and Miss Oregon USA recently, or currently is Miss Oregon USA. And it's just really cool to like get asked to do those things by girls that like I love so much and I've created these memories and bonds with over the years. So,
That's so special. It's so special. So I'm curious to know, what is it really like to do makeup and hair for Miss America? Is she really the girl next door?
oh, Maddie's amazing. I've known her since day one in her pageant journey, and we are kind of like I don't know. I like to think of her as my little sister, and she's just
Mhm.
so sweet. We have so much in common. She's a pilot as well, and she's just so smart and has achieved so much, and she works so hard, and she's the girl next door, but like better because she's just so amazing. But yeah, I've been it's an honor to be her friend and like get to do this with her. I have been her cheerleader all along, like since day one, and I knew that there was a national title for her, and I'm so glad that she found it. And I just like, oh, I'm getting chills talking about it. Like watching her last year, like I was just so proud of her and knowing her story and like just knowing how proud her mom would be. And she's just such an amazing person, and I'm really proud of her. And she's gonna change the world. She's like one of those people that's a world changer.
Mm. So exciting. That's so exciting. I know her crowning moment was electrifying. Like it was so beautiful. I mean, the fact that she was just so stunned, right? Like
Yeah,
what a beautiful soul, right?
yeah.
To
She's
be.
really great.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to thank you for your time. And is there anything else that you wanted to share with anyone who might be watching this before we wrap up today, Amanda?
Well, like I said before, find your team, find your people that make you feel really good and confident and be the best version of yourself. If that's the two of us, we are always here to be in your corner, right? And I just, wish everyone the best of luck on their pageant journeys. And if you ever need me, I'm here for you.
Absolutely. Likewise. Well, have a delightful evening. I'm going to let you go. We're going to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and safe travels to you as you make your way to the Miss America competition in Orlando, Florida. We will see how our girls from Washington do. And I'm so excited that you get to be behind the curtain this year on the Victoria Duke Beauty team. I think that's going to be an amazing experience. And maybe we'll have to have a debrief when you get back so we can hear what it's really like backstage at Miss America.
That sounds awesome. I'm super excited. And thank you so much for asking me to do this. And I'm glad it finally worked out and we made the time for it. And I can't wait to help young women feel beautiful and have this journey with them. And yeah, so thank you so much.
It's a great experience. Yep. All right, we'll talk soon.
All
Thanks.
right, bye.
Bye.